Good morning, my artsy friends. Happy Monday morning. Welcome to our regularly scheduled Monday morning, 11 a.m. live. I am so glad that you are here. And as always, I thank you and I appreciate that you're taking time out of your busy day to join me here in my little corner of the art world. Friends, today we are concentrating or we are looking at products from Soho Urban Artists. Soho Urban Artists is a house brand of Jerry's Autorama. Now, if you don't know what Jerry's Autorama is, it is basically a big box fine art store that provides many different types of fine art products for the art community. You may know it as a brick and mortar store, or you may know it just from being online, or maybe your access to it is through Amazon. Either way, um, that's what it is. Now, all the products that I'm going to be using in today's video will be linked in the video description for quick access in case you decide you see something that you want. What we're doing today is using a couple of Soho Urban Artist products. Here, I have a 15 count of Soho Urban Artist half pan watercolors, which came, if you guys remember, we've already done a review of this set. So you can find it under the Thrifty Review playlist here on YouTube if you would like to check it out. There's also a link in the video description for the playlist for the Thrifty Review. So you can actually click on that link, and there's going to be dozens and dozens and dozens of reviews from different products that you can check out, including this one. So this is how the set originally came. It was just 15 half pans and like this little plastic whaled palette for it. Pretty straightforward. They are a house brand on the budget end, so they do produce economical and affordable products. And I do happen to like Soho Urban Artists more than I do a lot of other house brands. Say, for instance, I like it more than Master's Touch, which is Hobby Lobby's house brand. I like it more than Artist Loft, which is Michael's house brand. I like it more than Artsmith, which used to be Joanne's house brand before they decided to close their stores. So this just kind of puts you in mind of the level that these particular products are on. So outside of using the 15 half pan watercolor, which I have already put into one of my own tins, as you can see here, I just moved them out of here and put them into a prettier tin that I'll grab and reach for. We're also going to be painting on the Soho Urban Artist Select Stretch watercolor paper, which is basically a canvas. This is 100% cotton, 140-pound cold press. I'm sorry, 100% cotton, 140-pound hot press, acid-free stretched paper that is sized both internally and externally, and is stretched across a 5 and an 1/8 inch deep frame to give you basically a canvas. This size is 8 by 10, and we have painted on these on the channel before. So just to give you a reminder, I'm going to kind of cycle back through what we've done on these canvases so you can see them real quick. Now, the link that I have in the video description for these canvases, you get 6 of them for like $21, which I think is an awesome buy. Uh, so here is one of the, I think this is the second illustration because I only had 3 of them. So this was the second illustration done back in December of 2024, where we basically just did this gnome. It was real cute, straightforward, just something really easy to kind of get people through painting something on a canvas, or at that time, maybe doing a Christmas ornament or something of that nature. But as you can see, I have hair on there. Um, Now, the only thing I don't like about these solid white canvases is you can see that once you leave them out, they will start to like collect dust, and the white itself can become dingy, especially if you don't have like a background on it. And mind you, these are canvases, so I don't have them tucked away inside a sketchbook. So I just kind of put them in a plastic bag once I'm done and they've had time to dry, just to protect the canvases and make sure that they don't get like dirty, dingy, start to shift color and yellow and things of that nature. Um, and it's not like a foolproof way of keeping them clean, but It works better than just leaving them out in the open, especially if you're not actually displaying the painting. Now, the very first one I did, because I told you there were three, this is the third one. The gnome was the second painting. The very first painting was an illustration that we did, if I'm not mistaken, inside the creation station on a Monday night live. Um, and this is when I was tackling birds, and we actually used saran wrap in the background to give texture. Um, but this was a bird, I'm not mistaken, it was done inside the creation station. But it was also done on this same watercolor canvas. And as you can see, I started to experience the same issue. So, just know that you are working on a white stretched hot press paper, which is going to pick up things from around, it'll get dirty. It's white. So you do want to kind of protect them once you're done with them. I need to find, and I'm going to do some research on Google today once I'm done with this live, or possibly while I'm sitting in the doctor's office waiting to be called back. I'm going to do some research on a fixative, a finishing varnish of some type that you can spray onto canvases that will not only keep the paper from yellowing, but it help protect it or repel dust. Now, I don't know if there's anything on the market like that. I'm sure in 2026 there probably is. I just need to go out there and do the research. Of course, if you guys know of anything, do drop it in either the chat box if you're live or the comment section if you're watching on replay, because I am never above taking a suggestion from my wonderful, wonderful artsy friends. Okay, other than those two products, I have a couple of Transon brushes here. These are synthetic nylon bristle brushes. I have a half-inch wash or a number 12 flat. It can be called either or. I'm working with a number 6 round, or you can use a number 8. And of course, you can use whatever brushes you want to. I have a number 1 liner brush, and I also have a number 5 round just to get some smaller detail in if I need to. All right, friends. There is what we're doing, what we're painting with. Let's talk about what we're actually painting. And I do have my swatch sheet here handy. And because I'm on the bigger creation disc in front of me, I have like this. Let me see if I can show you guys right quick. I have like this holder that's a pencil that actually holds colored pencils in it. So I have this sitting right in front of my creation area in case I ever want to grab a colored pencil and add some accent to something that I'm working on. Because you guys know I love mixed media. Now inside that holder there are like some Sioux colored pencils. There are Brute Ferner Macaron colored pencils. There are Faber Castell Black Edition colored pencils. There's a couple of random odd and end pencils in there. And then I just kind of switch the brands out every now and then just to keep different sets of color pencils in rotation so I can make sure that I'm using them because, as most of you guys know, I have a studio full of products and I am really trying to use things that I don't use on a regular basis. But anywho, here is the swatch sheet. So I'm just going to put that up in front of me so I have a color reference to paint. All right, I'm going to just remove this because I've had it on the canvas in order to protect it. And if you are looking for a traceable of what we're going to be doing today, it is available inside the Creation Station paid membership tier of the Defiant Art Patreon community, just in case you decide you don't want to try to sketch it out yourself. Of course, you guys know the Creation Station does get sort of like traceables, but this is basically it. You can see where I was kind of drawing out things, trying to work out what the bud was going to look like. And then eventually, when I transferred my traceable onto my canvas, I just went over everything with a dark pen so I know where the lines were. And I transferred by rubbing graphite on the back of just a regular piece of paper that I've drawn on, and then putting it down and tracing it versus using tracing paper. And the reason I like to do that is because I feel like I can keep the graphite transfer lighter. Whenever I'm using tracing paper, sometimes the transfer of the tracing can get so hard and heavy. And it's kind of hard to erase it and remove those things. Let's just go ahead and jump in and to get started on today's. Now, this is a hot press paper. This is not something that I typically paint on a lot. As most of you guys know, I am a cold press, rough press paper user on a regular basis, mainly because I'm predominantly a landscape artist, and those two papers tend to lend better to making landscapes look a bit more realistic. But I do like to try my hand at different things, as most of you know. So we're using all of these are hot press. Now, what I did, although this is a canvas, I did go ahead and use 1/4 inch wide tape and tape off a border anyway, mainly because I like to put a black border around my illustrations. I think it offsets the white borders around it really nicely and just kind of make things look really crisp and clean. Well, it is as long as I don't mess up my black border putting it in. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm going to grab my number. I see it's 6 round. I'm sorry, it's a number 9 round. And let's see. Colors I would like to use in this painting today. We're going to, for our primaries, we're going to use, for my yellow, I'm actually going to use yellow ochre today. Um, and these are student grade paints. Let's start off there. These are student grade paints. Like I said, go check out the review if you want to see it. These are student grade paints. They are not professional. They don't contain any artist information. They just come with the color names. There is no light fast information. Or no or any pigment information. So, there's that. And so I'm going to use yellow ochre. I need a really nice crisp red. So I guess I'll use this vermilion hue, which I've almost used up, as you can see. And actually, I think I'm going to use both cobalt and this is cobalt hue. Again, this is a student grade set, or should I say artist grade set, since we're being politically correct about student grade paints now. And then ultramarine blue. So I'm going to use two blues, or orange leaning red, a earthy yellow, and burnt sienna. It's going to be the brown I use. Now, this set has 3 browns, ironically enough, for it to only be an 18 color set. Um, and it's got 2 ochres. It's got a yellow ochre and a red ochre. Then it's got a brown, a burnt sienna, and a Van Dyke brown. So I'm going to use, which I'm almost believing that, Soho put this together for landscape painters, considering it's got 2 ochres, 2 blues, 3 browns, a convenience green, uh, and a split primary. All right. So I don't know if I want to put a background in just yet, but let's just get started here. I'm going to start off by trying to base coat everything in with the predominant color, which is going to be yellow ochre. And I'm not going to wet my paper first. I'm going to actually go straight in on dry paper with wet paint. This is a wonderful way to make sure you keep the vibrancy when you're using a student grade paint. And because you're trying to keep the vibrancy, not wetting the paper first will help cause less of a shift. Um, and I'm going to try to get this done by using as little water as possible as well. Keeping in mind that hot press paper does not like a lot of water at all, which is another reason I tend not to use it, because I am a wet into wet freak. But basically what we're going to do here is we're going to get all of the colors in for the first layer. And I'm going to try to move quickly here because this is going to dry fast. I do have my ceiling fan on because it's a little hot in the studio. And I don't want any harsh lines, back runs, or cauliflower, which I'm already starting to get some unevenness, but that's okay. Adding a little water to that and just dragging that color on down. I Had I thought about this, really thought this through, what I would have used is the Soho Urban Artist watercolor block because it is uh, cold press. As you can see, I have some sizing issues right there. That is from the sizing being not the greatest. Let's take the yellow ochre. You know what? I'm adding one other color, this Terra Verta. I'm going to take the Terra Verta and mix it down with a little yellow ochre. I'm trying to move quickly. I am going to have to turn that ceiling fan off. And I'm just going to go in and just kind of drop in some green tones on top of the yellow ochre. We're going to try to keep this fresh because I do realize I'm using a student grade paper, student grade paint, and basically it may be 100% cotton, but I wouldn't classify this canvas as artist grade at all. Now to get that green that I'm using, I mixed yellow ochre and the Terra Verta that's in this set. And I'm gonna go ahead and start putting in some striations here. All right, let's see. I want to mix a darker green really quick, and since I used that convenience green, I'm now kind of stuck. I don't want to switch, so I'm gonna mix that Terra Verta with some ultramarine blue to try to get me a darker green here. And let's see, go in and put it on again, student grade paint. So I'm not being too concerned with too much of anything at the moment, other than getting in all the colors I'm using. And I'm gonna blend in a little yellow ochre into that as I'm working. Now, having a paper towel handy or a student or a studio rag handy is gonna be a good idea. And I'm just basically letting the colors mix on the paper when I can, simply because I want to try to maintain freshness as much as possible. This was something else we were working on last night in Watercolor Sunday Fun Day as well. I'm trying to learn to be a little looser, as most of you know, and as a result, I'm trying to learn to let stuff just kind of mix on the paper and all those good things. Now, you know what I'm gonna go ahead and do? I'm gonna go ahead and throw in a vein in there. I wasn't planning on it. So you can still use your credit card scraper even on hot press paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And it's not giving me much detail, but it's working a little bit. Have to go back and enhance those later on. Let's grab that other side. Now my paints are drying pretty quick. Even my puddles are drying up quick again. I'm working against the clock as far as having a ceiling fan on above me, but it's hot. It is hot, so I don't care. And if my hand is in the way, I do apologize. I have to get used to working at the new desk. Now, honestly, this is not the normal green I would go for when I was doing foliage or leaves, not unless I was putting in a shadow. But today we're working with what we have, and the whole point of this live is to show or is to reinforce that you don't need super expensive anything in order to pull off something that you might be happy with, especially if you're simply just practicing to create, you know. Actually, it's not bad. That green is kind of pretty. I'm gonna throw in a little yellow ochre in that kind of mass tonish. I'll let it blend in on its own. Okay. Um, I want to let's see. We're gonna yellow ochre and terra verta just a little bit more yellow ochre there. I'm mixing that green into it to dull it, give me a more yellowy green. And I'm gonna go in and start to paint in these leaves here. I know, seems a little strange with the colors. That's okay though. This is just a first layer. We're gonna be glazing, but we're not gonna go, too far because we are using student grade paints and you start to get in trouble with student grade paints once you start trying to glaze for some reason. Um, that's when you start to notice the fillers that are truly in them. I'm gonna put And don't worry, we're going to go through quite a bit of a what we call the ugly stage, but it's going to all work out perfectly fine when it's all said and done. At least I hope anyway. Now mixing that yellow ochre and that terra verta together gives you more of an olivey looking green. And you definitely don't want puddles. So if you put down puddles on a hot press paper, go ahead and dry your brush off and tap it in, pick those puddles up because I can promise you that it's going to definitely cause cauliflower if you don't. And I'm mixing a little bit more of this with the blue. And see if we can get that kind of brush throughout that lighter green we just put in. And I'm not going to worry about credit card scraping anymore right here. Let's see. I think that we're going to need like so. All right, let's go ahead and we're throwing in. And you see how the sizing, and that's the only thing I don't like. All three of the canvases that I purchased from them. had some type of issue. Now they say that it's sized both internally and externally, which I don't doubt that, but there's something off. And maybe it's just the ones I have. I don't know if anyone else has ever used Soho's paints or anything. By all means, let me know because it could just be me. Maybe it's like user error. So I'm painting in the bud here with red. It's gonna be vermilion, but you use whatever you have, whatever you want. And you could have put a little water in there to induce flow. Just keep in mind your student grade paints are not going to flow nearly as well as your artist grade paint simply because of the fillers that are in them. I will say I do love the new disc because it puts me above my painting. I don't feel like I'm fighting to paint. All right, I am going to grab the credit card scraper right here and just put in like so. All right, we need to let this dry and then we are actually going to start glazing. And glazing is where all of the excitement is going to come back in, hopefully. That's just to get us a first layer down. I know it doesn't look the most amazing at the moment, but that's okay. We're going to try to work through that. And we're even going to try to work around. Yeah, this is where when paper or when something you have has bad sizing like this is where I probably wouldn't use watercolor on it. I would probably use like a gouache or a dry medium, which this is actually not the best showing for this watercolor canvas. But I will say that I've had it in my stash for well over a year, maybe even almost a year and a half at this point. So, you know, it could be just the ones I ordered, and or it could be that you need to go ahead and use them when you get them because keeping them too long, it just depends. Some paper will lose its sizing quicker than others. It can happen. All right, so let's get in here and see what we can do about making this look a little better, right? Let's start off with, I want to put in some more color, and I'm probably going to switch brushes. I'm going to go over to this number 5. We're going to be concentrating on the yellow ochre first. And I'm going to paint directly onto dry paper. And I just want to put in some more color here. Put in more mass tone color. As I go through, what did I do with the credit card scraper? I don't know what I did with it. Well, I was about to say I may grab my credit card and do some scraping, but I don't know what I did with the Joker. Oh, here we go. You have to move fast because hot press paper will dry much faster than cold press. And I'm just scratching some texture in. You can't really see it. Now you'll be able to see it more once more paint starts to go on, darker colors, all those good things. But right now what I'm doing is darkening up the part where I have the yellow ochre on my bud. And you could possibly use a bigger brush if you wanted to. This is just me. So I added more water to my mix. And it does seem a bit dull. It's definitely dulling down. It's not very bright or vibrant. I'm not really using the brightest yellow here though. So, I mean, if you want something a little bit more vibrant, you might want to use a different yellow other than yellow ochre. And just remember to follow the direction of what you're painting. I don't know. I've been having serious issues lately with like even the painting that I did last night over and for Watercolor Sunday Fun Day. I'll be honest, I wasn't. It turned out okay. Um, and I was really kind of hard on myself in the beginning about that painting, simply because I just don't know. You guys ever had a series of paintings that you do and you just feel like nothing you paint comes out right? That's kind of where I am right now with a lot of the things that I've been painting lately. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, like, why are you running a YouTube channel or any channel where you're trying to teach other people how to do this stuff and you can't be consistent? But, we all let those little demons sneak up in our heads and get the best of us sometimes. I'm going to mix yellow ochre and let's see what the yellow ochre and the ultramarine gives us. It's probably going to be more, yeah, muted. Let's go with the yellow ochre, and I'm gonna leave that mix right there in case I want to use it. And let's see what the yellow ochre and that is yellow ochre and cobalt blue. It's not terrible. Still want a brighter green though. So I'm about to break a rule. I'm about to break a rule here. I'm gonna use Terra Verde and I'm gonna add a new color. I'm gonna grab some of this brilliant yellow and mix it in. Love that. So let's water that down. And we're gonna work that in. Gonna lightly layer it over our yellow ochre, and we're just building color here. I sure hope this comes out right. And if it doesn't, it is what it is. I had an entire image in my head the way this was supposed to look. And let's just say it's definitely not going that way so far. I'm gonna grab that yellow. I mean that green, and I'm gonna go in and paint this leaf up front. And then let's go with Terra Verta and Ultramarine to get that darker green back, and we'll go around the top there. Yeah, I don't like this at all. I don't like this, but we're gonna keep trucking. Let's see. We will have darker down the middle here. We are gonna keep trucking. We are not gonna give up on it. You guys know I like to work through those stages to see what it comes out to be. And then if it comes out terrible, that's fine. You know, it is what it is. So basically, I'm going to use my dark green to carve out the leaf here. Go in with a little of that lighter green I just had. Drop it in. A little bit on the opposite side as well. I'm starting to get in trouble. Hot press paper. Um, and I'm doing a lot of layering on this leaf, and I'm starting to feel my paints start to kind of cake. I need to be careful because I don't want lifting to happen. All right. It's not too bad. We'll let it dry. We'll come back to it if we need to. Let's do the opposite one. Add more color to it, and then we're going to work our way on down to doing the stem, which we use the brilliant yellow, and I think we're using the Terra Verta. And let's see, what we would have here is, I feel like I need it to be wetter, so I'm gonna switch back over to the big brush. I'm not gonna jive, friends. I'm struggling. I'm struggling right now. I am struggling with this. And I'm glad it's live because if it was pre-recorded, I would stop and start over. But I want you guys to understand that this happens to all of us. I am struggling. All right, let's go back in with trying while they're still wet, switching brushes to get back into the darker green we were using here, which was ultramarine and terra verta. To get me that real good dark green. I'm gonna rinse my brush, dry off the brush, and then just kind of come in, blend out my edges here so I won't have harsh lines. You have to move fast with hot press paper, okay? There we go. And this is definitely probably going to become a mixed media painting where I use color pencils to spruce everything up before it's all said and done. Let's jump over here to this leaf. I'll turn it this way so I can put it towards me. I have been feeling like I'm getting worse at painting instead of improving. Marianne, I go through that on a regular basis. I am so hard and critical of myself. Hey, Tisa, good morning. Can't stay just saying hi. I have to go back to work. Hope work goes well. Thank you for stopping in to say hi, friend. Miss you. Um, yeah, Marianne, I feel like that a lot of times. Like, the only thing I feel like I ever be improving on are like my landscapes. But everything else, I feel like, um, I don't know. I feel like I get worse at painting, and I've been painting for years. So I feel like I get worse. I really do. Um, so don't worry, friend. It is not just you that feels that way. It, you have to just kind of push through it, though. You have to kind of just push through it and realize that it just seems that way. With every bit of practice you get, you actually are getting better. It might not seem like you are, but you are. And you're going to produce bad paintings. The people that you see on YouTube putting up all these wonderful paintings on a regular basis, I can promise you that is not every one of their paintings at all. Just like any other content creator, we tend to only post those things that look great. But no one is really posting the struggle they go through. Well, except me, I'm gonna show you guys the struggle because I feel like showing you the struggle helps you out. Showing you the struggle lets you see A, you're not alone. B, it happens to all of us. And we all seem to take a couple steps back before we take a step forward. It's not just you. So I'm gonna add in my dark here now. And see, I spend a lot of time doing just what I'm doing right now with you guys, where I'm trying to carve out and figure out how to turn something I might have messed up or might have been making a mistake on into something um, presentable. Your artwork is not going to always look Instagram ready. And if it does, then you're better than most of the rest of us. I can tell you that. There are some times when I can paint 12 duds or what I will feel duds. I have other people telling me, oh, it looks good. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you looking at? How do you say, what are you talking about? It looks terrible. It's like last night. It really took a minute for that. magnolia I painted to grow on me. And I'm still not saying that I'm completely satisfied with it. I'm just saying that it took a minute for it to actually grow on me to the point where I was like, okay, it's not that bad. It happens. Happens to the best of us, I promise. There are so many things I can already tell you right now. If I had to do this over, I would. If I had to do this over again, I would change. First thing being, I would not use the Terra Verta. I would mix all of my greens. That would be the first thing. And I do mean mix my greens from blue and yellow. That would be the first thing I would do if I was going to change things. Second thing I would do is I would probably not attack this on a hot press paper. This would probably be done on a cold press paper. Although hot press is supposed to be really good for botanicals. Now, I typically like to do my botanicals on cold press, but hot press is the standard for doing like super detailed botanical work. Yeah. So it kind of is what it is. So at this point, I'm probably like on layer three for some parts of this. So it's going to definitely lose vibrancy and brightness. It's not going to be nearly as fresh as I wanted it to be, which was the same problem I've had last night. Like whenever I try to paint outside of my normal style of painting and attack doing something differently, it doesn't always fail, but it does normally take two or three times of doing it in that way to really get it down to where I feel like it looks as good or presents as well as my normal style of painting, if that makes any sense at all. Yes, Terry, I struggle with overworking a lot too. It's not just you. I'm telling you, friends, we all go through a lot of similar issues. And if I call them gatekeepers, and the reason I call them gatekeepers is because they're not telling you the whole truth. If gatekeepers were more honest with you, it would make especially beginner watercolors and beginner artists feel better about themselves to understand that it's not going to be perfect every time. It's going to be you're going to have overworked paintings. You're going to have paintings that don't seem fresh and lose their vibrancy. You're going to have paintings that um, you have to kind of work through and itch through, and you might not totally be satisfied with what you produce, you know? But you found a lot of artists, especially YouTube artists, who kind of presents it as if though, everything they paint turns out amazingly. No, it doesn't. I promise it doesn't. I have several questionable paintings. Several. This one may turn out to be one of them. Several questionable paintings. But I never let that deter me from continuing to try. I mean, for Pete's sakes, I actually sell paintings and I still mess up stuff. When I worked on that Magnolia painting for Nicole commission, because Nicole purchased a plant portrait off of Patreon, not Patreon, off of Palm Street. And of course, you guys know plant portraits are basically where you get to send me a picture and I will work out that plant for you and paint it. I don't paint it on hot press canvas by any means. I paint it on my own watercolor canvas board that I make here in the studio. But the point is, It's not all peaches and cream by any means. I restarted that commission portrait like 3 times, I think, before I finally got it like, oh, okay, this is what I want to do with it. And this is turning out pretty nice. But it was just not like talking about it, you know? And you guys can see the paints dry. You see how they dull down quite a bit when they dry. Hello, Ivy. I really like the smoothness of hot press paper for pieces I will go over with other mediums. Yeah, I mean it'll work well for in mixed media aspects, definitely. Yes, questionable paintings, Ivy. Questionable. I have so many of them, I can't even tell you. So many questionable paintings where I'm asking myself, Thrifty, what exactly were you thinking when you painted this? Why did you paint it this way? Why does it look like a 12-year-old came in here and just threw stuff on the paper? It happens. Okay, again, I don't know if it's Phoenix or, well, I know it's not Soho because they're white labeling. I think they white label it from Phoenix. I really would suggest, that's not too bad. You see, as it starts to dry, you can see that the sizing issue sort of dissipates, and I'm going to be able to cover it with paint, but it is there, and it's definitely something to be aware of if you decide to get either Soho canvases, and because I'm in agreement with my friend that these are more than likely Phoenix watercolor canvases, that you might want to just understand that some of them might have sizing issues. Now I've gotten way too dark in there. Don't know how this paper is going to lift, so instead of trying to lift, I'm just going to wait till I get to the color pencil aspect of it and try to spruce it up with some brighter color pencils to kind of bring it back. Let's go ahead and work on this particular part, which I feel like much more, um, it almost looks gouache. You see how matte the paint is drying on it? And that paint is drying down really matte on it. It almost looks like I'm painting with gouache in a like watercolor way, like I'm trying to force gouache into I'm gonna glaze. Let me add. I'm gonna do this brilliant yellow, and I'll clean that pen up later. I'm not really worried about it. I'm more worried about getting this to a presentable outcome. I'm adding just a little bit of that Terra Verta into it, and then I need to go back to adding a little bit of the yellow ochre into it. And the yellow ochre kind of opacifies it even more because, it's normally semi-opaque itself. Let's see here. And I really feel like I should be using a bigger brush. Switch back over to the bigger brush I was using. Beyond this, I'm just gonna work on the actual flower part, and then we're gonna move on to color pencils. As I told you guys, I have a doctor's appointment. I'm not gonna keep you too long. This might be one that I just count as one that didn't come out too well, but I'm not gonna beat myself up. And I'm gonna invite you guys back for the next live where we're gonna be attempting it again. Not attempting this again, but you know, attempting painting together again. Mixing some yellow ochre, mixing some terra Roberta, a little bit at a time. And if you guys have any questions, like I said, don't hesitate to ask. If you have like experience with this Soho canvas, I'll definitely overwork this. It looks very flat. Whole point of using watercolors was to, try to keep it as transparent as possible. These paints have more fillers in them than I originally thought they did. That's okay. I'm just at this point trying to get a uniform color on my wood. Yeah, totally lost the freshness on that. It looks very, um, I don't know the word I'm looking for. It's too dark, too mass tone. I got more darks and mid tones. I lost all of my lights. Gotta love it. All right. I have a pile too of questionable paintings that I cannot throw away, but also not get rid of them either. Yeah, I don't like get rid of my questionable paintings for the very reason that I know that I want to go back and look at them and see how I feel like, where I feel like I went wrong. What can I possibly do to kind of try to improve where it is, you know? I mean, looking at this painting, you would think I was an amateur who has never painted anything before. And when I edit this, I'm not going to edit out anything. I'm going to leave it all in because I want anyone who run across this live to be like, okay, I've seen the other things he do, but this doesn't look too hot. Why doesn't this look too hot? And then they can watch the video and hear me explain why things seem to be the way they are. Plus, it's not pre-recorded, so it's not like I can take it down now. You guys are watching me live. You guys are watching me live. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's terrible. Um, Let me mix a little bit of ultramarine into that. It's kind of darken up some stuff. Ay, ay, ay. Kind of push some darker color around on it just a little bit. Make sure we get mixing some yellow ochre down there too, just to see if we can brighten it up a little bit. At this point, I'm just throwing stuff at it. Sound like me last night if you was in the creation station. This point, I'm just throwing stuff at it. Okay, I am hoping I'm going to be able to make this look a little bit better with some color pencils and some. Yep, it's about to become mixed media. Definitely about to become mixed media. All right, I'm gonna give this a try. Then I'm switching over to pencils. What I'm gonna try to do is go in first with really dark pencils. Um, to add in all of my darkness to push out the midtones. Then I'll go in with more pastel pencils in order to try to pull out highlights. I think it should be dry enough. What I do like about the canvas though is that once you dry it, it re-stretches itself back to being flat and tight. Because as you paint on it, of course, with water, it tends to seem to buckle a little bit, but it does go back to being flat and tight afterwards. I don't have any Soho colored pencils. I should have, considering I've tried pretty much all of their other products. And these paints really aren't that. I had a much better painting experience with these paints when I was doing the review. I wish I could remember exactly what I painted with them so I can grab it and show it to you real quick. But nonetheless, we're going to switch over to some colored pencils here. And I am going to grab a dark green. This is a soup color pencil number 52. Let's see how dark this green is. It's not quite what I want it to be. I need something darker. And I probably should pull out my Prismacolor pencils for a couple of reasons. And these are just my everyday Prismacolors. I have a complete set, but these are like Prismacolors that I've had, from 12 count sets here, uh, 15 count sets there, 24 here, whatever. But I do have a full set of Prismacolors. I'm just gonna kind of glance through here and see if I can find. Well, see, this is grass green. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit too green. What is this? This is spring green. And sometimes you don't have to do too much. And sometimes you actually use the color pencil to basically, see, I like the way that looks. I'm just going to add some of this into, kind of pull back some of the lightness on some of these. Because I so lost my lighter colors. And this is when you kind of do what we call throw the kitchen sink at a painting. Because at this point, you have nothing to lose. At this point, it's all about really having nothing to lose and just kind of going with the flow and seeing what you can do to pull the painting back from the verge of complete catastrophe. I'm actually hungry as well. See, I don't think that looks too bad. I think that added, that's kind of helping just a little bit there. Let's see. Um, I could definitely do a Venetian botanical. I can go with that. I go with anything to make it seems like it's better than what it is. No doubt about it. Let's see here. I need to. I really need a darker green. What is this? This is peacock green. Still not quite as dark as I want it to be. Um, okay. Not too bad. I'm definitely gonna go in with a black or maybe like an indigo blue before it's all said and done. I don't know. I'm not sure if I can do anything to this right now to make it look better. I'm just not sure at this point. Um, it seems like I'm just taking more and more color. It's like trying to. I can't say that. If I was on Patreon, I'll say it, but I can't say that here. But you know that thing where they say like where it's trying to polish or you know what? That's sort of how it feels. Mm, not terrible. Let's see if we can add in looking for darker green. Have a lot of grass greens in there. But can I get something darker? What is this? Dark green. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Get some of that. See how that changes the game. Yeah, this paint is gonna give me nightmares. This painting is gonna give me nightmares. I'm gonna be thinking about that terrible rosebud painting I did live for a long time. Absolutely, it is. I feel like I'm getting a little value in it though with the pencils. It's definitely give me a little bit. Okay, let's see. Uh-huh. Do I have a yellow ochre looking color? Let's see. I have a Spanish orange. I'm not sure what that looks like. It's not very yellow ochreish. It's leaning in that family, but not too much. What we have here? We have canary yellow, and that is orange. Excuse me. And canary yellow again. Let's see what else we have. We have a lot of canary yellows in here. I told you, like, it's a bunch of 12 sets put together. All this canary yellow. Let's go with this Spanish orange and see if we can add a little brightness back to this. Uh, and then let's see, we have that dark green. It's become a coloring book project at this point. Just doing whatever I can to try to save it. Um, what was the original green I was using? Grass green? I think it was. So, friends, this is my questionable painting for today. Um, it is definitely a lesson in material, how material works together. Um, Definitely in how to try to use mixed media in order to fix mistakes. I'm gonna classify this one as a dud. And I already know there's gonna be a lot of people like, it's not that bad. And I'm gonna tell you now, from the jump, I really appreciate that. But it is. It is, friend. Yeah, this one is not the best. And at this point, the more I add to it, the kind of worse it looks. But, you know, we're gonna put it in there anyway. It's just the way the cookie crumbles for me. Uh, yes, I have witnesses to this. Hello, Brittany. Welcome to our trial and error painting live for today. I'm gonna grab a black Prismacolor Veritin pencil, and basically I'm gonna go in with this black to separate stuff. It's black, so it's not gonna. I mean, it's a Veritin pencil, so it's not gonna put down a lot of pigment that really made for detailing. But I just want something that's gonna pull those leaves out. I need to plug up my iPad. It's gonna die before we have a chance to finish this live. But definitely, yeah, Marianne is definitely witnesses to this one. I can't hide this one even if I wanted to. So I can hear y'all now. Thrifty, you remember that rosebud? Oh yeah, I remember it. Don't remind me. Thrifty, that was not your best work. I know it was not, friend. At all. I learned a lot about the products though. Main thing I learned being I'm not a fan, not nearly as much of a fan as these watercolor canvases I thought I was. That's what I realized. But it is a learning lesson. It is a lesson in babysitting. Right on top, you know, ever seen Adventures in Babysitting? Right on top of that rose. Yes, you would, Kaylin. We wouldn't do that. Yes, you would. And I would laugh right along with you. Excuse me. I would laugh right along with you. I really would. I don't take things too seriously, and you guys hear me say all the time, excuse me, on videos that you should give yourself grace. And how would I look telling you guys to give yourself grace if I'm not willing to do the same thing for myself, right? This is just going to be one I classify as a learning experience. I really want to do, I don't know, I really feel like I want to put some yellow, just kind of like cross pollinate that into the bud. And yes, I'm just adding more and more layers. You know, that's how we do in mixed media. When you mess something up, you just layer until you can't layer no more. But anywho, and now I'm assuming I'm smudging the pencil all over the canvas. It is what it is. I don't plan on selling it. And this will be something that I pull out in the future to be like, see guys, you do not have to be perfect all the time. It happens to all of us. I'm put some highlights on this and I'm calling this done. Much done. And I'm gonna try not to smudge any more color pencil here. I feel like it needs another kind of. Flow to it. I mean, you know, you keep layering, you're gonna eventually get something that looks like you might care about. Might have halfway tried to care about what you were doing. Oh, Kaylin, that's sweet of you. There has been quite a few people in this live. I'm really happy to see that. Definitely has been quite a few people in the live. I'm gonna flip this upside down and see if I can get this a little bit more like whimsical definition. And I don't know that way. It's like you keep playing with it, gonna get it somewhere. I really feel like those should be darker. So I'm actually going in with black to do that. And then I'm gonna go over it with that dark red again. All right, there. There you have it. There's that. Let's put some bleed. Let's put some highlights on this and call it done. Because I mean, I'm not gonna make this look any better or any worse. Or probably could make it look worse, but I'm definitely not gonna make it look any better than it already looks. Let me put up these Prismacolor pencils, get that stuff out the way, and yeah, that's my like overflow Prismacolor bag. We will be having a creation station live tonight over in Patreon if you're a member of the creation station. And I promise you, we're going to do a good painting tonight. If it's the last thing I do, we're doing a good painting tonight. Yeah, Marianne, that would be cool. A table of us. Um, that would be too cool. Let's see now. How would we have highlights here? Let's pretend our light is coming from this way. So we'll probably have a highlight over here on this end. And this is going to help us see. Now, my tablet just went dead. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let's see. Yes, friend, we're going to do this again tonight. I just happened to have glanced up at the phone. Now, that is not really going on top of that pencil the way I was expecting it to. Um, I'm trying to see where we would have major highlights at. Definitely on this stem here. And I actually use, not just as a highlighting agent, I actually use my gel pens and my white gouache to actually paint with because I think it adds to the overall composition. I'm putting this chat back up so I can see what you guys have said before we get out of here. And it helps me to look at it on screen to see where else to go with this. Because sometimes you can sit way too close to your paintings, and sometimes you have to get up and walk away. That's another reason I actually like doing pre-recorded videos more than lives because I can get up, turn the camera off, walk away from the video, come back, really pay attention to what it needs by looking at it with a fresh set of eyes. So you guys definitely want to take that into advisement. If you're doing this, fine. It doesn't matter that um, we may be having issues with it. And you want to meet up. I am retired, so I'm lucky to be able to go where I know that's for real. I'm not retired. I'm just trying to get to the point where I only work for myself so that I can go when I want to and only do this art thing. Only do this art thing, right? let's see. I'm going to overuse the white here, mainly because the white is helping bring some of the lightness back to our illustration. Definitely freshness that I lost. Actually, I feel like I should hit all of those veins. Okay. Let's flip this upside down and we'll put a highlight right along the top here and here, and maybe it's a little highlight amongst all of the little kitchen light. Uh, okay. I think, friends, that's gonna be me calling this a day. Again, thank you for sticking with me through this questionable illustration. Um, I'm hoping that if nothing else, you picked up on some things not to do. Ultimately, that's what I'm hoping. Um, we are definitely gonna, I do encourage you guys, go back, check out other lives, check out other videos. There are many, many, many great painting demos and tutorials that are on the channel that works out just the way that they're supposed to. And even if you end up producing something that you're not 100% satisfied with or 100% happy with, keep in mind that that is part of the painting process. That is part of learning, growing, and developing as an artist. I have been painting in watercolor for well over 6, almost 7 years now. And looking at this painting, you would think I was just getting started again. But you know that happens. And it's also a very humbling experience. It lets you know that no matter how far you've come and how much you've grown, there's always a little bit more you can learn, almost always a little bit more you can do to advance yourself, you know. I may eventually go back and put a background in this. Why not? You know, it's already like not the best painting, so I may go back and put in like a blue washy kind of sky background or something like that. Um, just just because. And there I go getting too thick with my lines, my black line again. So I was talking about earlier at the beginning of the video, trying to keep it straight. Like that line is so wonky, but oh well. It'll just add to the overall quirkiness and uniqueness of the questionable painting. We're going to remove the tape and ultimately see what we have. Now, I said I might go back and put a background in this, but it's not going to be an overall background because these pens I discovered last night are actually water soluble. I didn't know that, but they are. So I definitely don't want to wet the black line and cause it to bleed. So I'll probably put in just like a vignette background around it, maybe something of that nature. Let's take this tape off and look at this. If you call it a masterpiece, if you love it, what would you call it if you don't love it? If it's not a master, what is it? An amateur piece? You're not a master. An intermediate piece. I'm not quite sure what you would call it. What would be the opposite of masterpiece? It does kind of. Let's see. Yeah, that tape also does kind of tear the paper just a little bit. Something else to keep in mind. I remember this company called Fredericks. I don't know if they still exist, but they used to make a watercolor canvas a while ago. It was seemed like it was basically a board covered with watercolor ground. It wasn't terrible. These are actually better. Now I wonder to myself if I just order because Phoenix has several of these, and one of them is actually called a professional watercolor canvas. And then the ones that are like this one just say watercolor canvas, but they don't say professional. They do say 100% cotton, but this other one I'm talking about says 100% cotton and it has the word professional written on it. So I'm going to order some of those and try them out because I am looking for a canvas that I can paint watercolor on without having to put down watercolor ground or apprentice piece. Okay, I can deal with that apprentice piece and not a masterpiece. Well, I am the thrifty apprentice, right? I am a student of art. So, and no matter how advanced I get or how great most of my paintings may turn out, I feel like I never ever stop learning. Like today was a nice learning experience in a lot of things. But there we go. That's how that ultimately turned out. I mean, is it 100% terrible and unrecognizable? No. Is it beautiful and just glorious and the best thing I've ever done? No. But I hope that you guys got something out of it nonetheless. Creation Station, remember that we will be going live tonight at 8 p.m. inside the Creation Station for our regular scheduled Monday Night Live. I will have the post for that Creation Station going up and we'll pin it to the top of the Patreon feed in the next hour or so. I do need to go ahead and get ready for my doctor's appointment, and then I'm definitely going to get that up. But I will be back in enough time um, and ready to go for tonight at 8 p.m. If you are not a member of the Creation Station, I do encourage you to check out the video description, the link for Patreon, head on over, hit membership options, read everything that comes along with the Creation Station. It's only $5 a month. And I think that there are a lot of perks to it for it only being $5 a month, and I can promise you the paintings come out so much better than this one did. I'm gonna be hard on myself about this, okay? So this is just something that we do as artists. This upcoming Wednesday, we're gonna have a pre-recorded release drop here on YouTube, where we're gonna be painting big. We're going extremely, extremely big with the painting, and we're going to be doing a landscape so that I can be inside my comfort zone as I paint bigger than I've ever painted before. So you guys can join. The Wednesday pre-recorded videos don't really get as many views as say like the review videos for products, and of course the lives get a lot of views. Well, more than the pre-recorded, but pre-recorded videos that drop on Wednesday sometimes barely crack like 100 views. And it's not that I'm doing this for viewership, but it is like whenever you're creating free content, you would like to know that it's actually being useful to the general audience, the general art public. So, guys, give the videos on Tuesday at 10 a.m. a watch or whenever you happen to get a chance because they are pre-recorded. You can always go back and watch them at any point at any time. Good, Terry. I'm glad you always get something. I will see you tonight. Best $5 you spend each month. Now that's very sweet of you to say. I really appreciate that. And that's actually really good feedback because it is quite a bit that goes on in the creation station. A lot of lives, a lot of videos and posting and traceables. So it's really good to get the feedback that you feel like it's worth the $5 a month. I really appreciate that. So, Patreon tonight, upcoming pre recorded release this upcoming Wednesday. Keep in mind that if you check the Thrifty Apprentice Patreon community, whether you are a free member or a paid member, you have access to a monthly calendar. The March calendar has already been posted, so you can keep up with all the lives, all the pre recorded drops, all the reviews, all the good stuff that comes out. And if you are a member of the Defiant Art Patreon community, free or paid. You do have extra access, to the weekly face-to-face talking series called Between the Brushstrokes. The newest episode dropped yesterday, so if you have not had a chance to go check out yesterday's Between the Brushstroke episode, please do. It is free and open to all members of Patreon, regardless of paid or free level. So there you have it, friends. If I don't see you tonight, I'll see you Wednesday. And if not, I'll see you next week, right back here Monday morning for our regularly scheduled 11 a.m. live, as long as everything stays the same. Enjoy your week, enjoy your night. I'll see some of you soon. And in the meantime, remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep creating, friends.